Well, hello and welcome once again to the DCL podcast, where we're inviting you to sit back, relax, and we'll be on our way shortly. Well, welcome back to the DCL podcast, your podcast to help you cruise a little smarter. And I'd like to welcome back to the show all the way down in Florida. How are you doing today, Christy?
I am well. How are you, Steve?
Not too bad. Getting ready to book some people to go to Australia, right?
I am.
Exciting.
I am.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? Are you deciding? I feel like you need to pick a better itinerary. That's just me being bossy with you in your current stage of life.
So if we could have gotten it, we probably would have loved to have done one of those cruises down through the South Pacific, but taking a look at it, that month is the huge month for getting stuff into college for Andrew next year. And so we will be staying home and hopefully getting him into college.
Well, I'm glad because as your friend, I was talking you out of it. It works for some people and it really makes sense, but not for everybody.
Right. Okay. Was that enough pre-show banter?
I think so.
All right, let's move into our show topic today. This is, I know, yours and one of my favorite topics to do, which is talking to somebody about their first time sailing on a Disney cruise. And I'm going to let you introduce our guest today.
So today we have Ryan from Michigan, who did his first time cruise on a Disney ship. He is a big Disney fan. He's got the Facebook page, Dads and Disney. Frankly, everybody needs to go to that, not Facebook, Instagram. They need to go to that page so that they can see Ryan in his, what would you call that outfit, Ryan? My favorite.
It was a man romper.
The onesie. Yes, the man romper. Yeah. So welcome to the show, Ryan.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
That sounded so much better than a onesie, a man romper. It sounds... It sounds much cooler.
We could do an entire podcast on the day I had at Magic Kingdom wearing that and the comments I got from people and my wife's just utter anger and disdain that I wore it.
She was angry? Was it because you got too many comments?
Too many comments. And here's the thing with man rompers is, unlike women, we have parts that maybe show a little bit more than they should. And she was just not having it. So about midway through the day, I had to go change.
Well, I know people have heard this on our podcast before, but we did a very maritime sailing last year. And there was like one of the biggest guys I've ever seen like on a Disney cruise. And he was in a onesie Christmas pajamas up, just having the best time of his life, dancing with his little daughter in front of the stage after the fireworks that night. And he just put the biggest smile on my face. I thought it was awesome. So I'm sure you made a lot of people's day going through the parks that way.
That guy sounds like my hero. I would love to meet him.
Well, I'm afraid to ask what your Disney background is, because obviously there's a pretty big background. We might have to do a whole other podcast about that.
Disney background. So started going when I was a little kid. And then after high school, like a big gap between, going to college and getting married. And I had my daughter and took her for her first time when she was 3 and sort of got back into it just as a family, and then decided that, there just were not enough Disney Instagram accounts. So I was like, I will create one. And so we started Dads and Disney, which is really just, my family posting about, the things that we enjoy about Disney. It's just things that we observe and things that we enjoy and just fun, I guess, topics that we like to post about.
So what took you so long to find Disney Cruise Line then? Because your daughter's 9. We were talking about that ahead of time. You went there at 3, so it was like 6 years before you found the cruise line. What made you decide to want to do this cruise besides Christy trying to talk you into it?
Full disclosure, I was not booking the cruise. We had a trip to Disneyland planned for 2020 that got pushed because of the pandemic, and we were supposed to go this summer. And with about 2.5 weeks before our departure, which we had flights and hotel for, the only thing we hadn't got was the tickets. My wife called me following court one morning, and I pick up the phone and I hear like elevator music. And I'm like, where are you? And she goes, on hold with Delta. We're switching the flights I booked to Disney Cruise. So that was entirely like her, just on, and that's sort of how this family functions. We're sort of like on a whim, seat of our pants kind of folks. And so I was always a parks person. Like I grew up going to the parks. My grandparents lived near Disney World, so I spent a lot of time there as a kid. And hadn't cruised since I was 25, 26, maybe. So it had been a long time. I'm 39 now. And so, yeah, she just was like, nope, we got a great deal last minute. We're doing this instead. So I missed the Main Street Electrical Parade in Disneyland, but I got to go on a Disney cruise.
That might be harsh, actually. The missing of the Main Street Electrical Parade. Now, I'm sure you saw it. Have you seen that at Walt Disney World back in the day? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah,
Right,
my favorite nighttime parade. And I was like, I hadn't seen it in years. And I was like, oh, we're finally going to get to see it again. My kid will get to see it. And then, nope.
You pivoted.
Yeah. Well, my wife pivoted. I just go along for it.
So I have a question about that because, we do have a lot of Disney parks fans that then eventually take a cruise. We always say cruising is so much easier than the parks. After having done the cruise and your first cruise, did you feel it was easier than the parks?
I felt it was easier once I got the hang of the cruise. Once I realized that everything works through the app, and once I figured out sort of how that there is sort of a flow every day, that things sort of operate the same way every day, then yes, I would agree. But my biggest issue with the parks, and I think it's a lot of people's issue with the parks, particularly Disney World, is just the amount of planning it takes. You just can't wake up and take the monorail over and just you're up at 6:50 so you can grab that 7 a.m. Genie Plus reservation, and then you're connected to your phone the whole rest of the day because you're trying to make sure you're grabbing the next Genie Plus reservation. And it's hard for me to even call it that because I'm just so used to saying Fast Pass.
Yeah, I don't change well to new names very well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I definitely use the wrong or the original names of stuff all the time. Yeah, and that is the thing, is that Walt Disney World always had a little bit of planning, and now it's just ridiculous, if you ask me. I love it, right? I love Walt Disney World, but both Disneyland and Walt Disney World, so much planning. And if you listen to other podcasts where they read survey questions, you can tell Disney's starting to see that there's too much planning because they keep asking people about how much they preferred the going to Universal planning process in their post-trip surveys. I don't know if anything's going to happen about that, but it's definitely out there that, yes, Disney planning is getting too much. So, okay, where do you want to start, Steve? I guess we should start with the cruise.
Let's stick with planning just real quick. This is your first cruise. Obviously, it takes planning to go to Walt Disney World, Disneyland, whatever. I'm sure you were listening to all our episodes of our podcast to help you plan for this cruise. What did you do as a first-time cruiser to plan to kind of learn about it? Or did you just jump in cold feet? Because we've had people do that as well.
No, did listen to podcasts, listen to you guys, listened. I actually had sent Christy a text and I said, can you just send me a book that you may have written so that I can plan this better? And really for us, it was a lot of listening to folks like you guys and others who are experts and have done this before. And then just sort of, so I will say for the planning, the one thing that I really did enjoy that I thought Disney made easier than my experience with other cruises, which again was years ago, was everything being done through the app. That once you had the app and you had it downloaded, you could sit there and look at what itineraries available. You could see what experiences on the ship were available. And then it just became sort of lining everything up and getting it sorted out throughout your day. I thought
is this the first person that we've ever said that's ever specifically come on to say I loved the app and the everything through the app, because the app is a new thing and some of us are not not quite always pro app.
But to be fair to Ryan's point, Disney gets downgraded a lot for their IT and stuff like that. But their app is actually super easy to use when it's working, right? To plan your stuff compared to any other cruise line that I've played around with. So I think there's a plus point to that as far as once you figure that out, you can kind of plan everything from day to day, look at what you want to add on, what you don't want to do, what is available, and all that type of stuff.
Yep. And again, just to do the compare and contrast, I found the Disney Cruise app much more user-friendly than the Genie app.
Yeah.
Not the My Disney experience, but the specific Genie portion of it, so much more intuitive than what Disney World has with Genie.
So there's a lot of listeners that get so worried about not being able to book stuff. First-time cruisers can book activities 60 days before their cruise. You booked 2 weeks. So you were booking your activities 2 weeks before, you were booking your port arrival time 2 weeks before. How do you feel like Now, after the fact, that worked out. Were there things you couldn't get that you wanted? Did you not? Did it just, I guess, what were your opinions on that after the fact?
We got everything that we wanted, which I will confess is probably more fortunate than folks who plan a trip 17 days before they disembark. But we got our daughter into Bippity Boppity, which was like her absolute must do for this trip. She had a canceled trip in 2020. Like she had like the Magic Kingdom Bippity Boppity and then Breakfast with the Princesses at Royal Table. And that was scheduled for 1 day, excuse me, after the parks closed. So she lost out on that. So getting back to Bippity Boppity was must do for her. We got on that. There were some adult activities like the bourbon tasting for me, for example, that I was able to get. We were able to do the parasailing on Castaway Cay and the snorkeling, which were both of our must-dos. The only thing that really wasn't available was Cayman Islands. And there's a lot of excursions there, but the one that we wanted to do was really just go to the beach and just swim around 7 Mile Beach and the water. And Disney only offered one hotel where they would provide the transportation to that hotel and get you set up on the beach. And that one was obviously booked. Fortunately, we had been to Cayman a few times, and so that really wasn't an issue for us. We knew that you'd be able to get off the boat, hop on a taxi. They take you to a public beach or the public, access area because it's a public beach, and we would be fine. So the only excursion that we really would have wanted to do that we couldn't do really wasn't an issue for us. But I will say, I think we also were fortunate in our booking because we did this in late August, which is not always, I think, a super popular time because of kids, especially where you live, Christy, being down south, like kids are back in school. So a lot of folks not like hopping on a Disney cruise. Most of our fellow cruisers were also from the North or the Midwest or Europe.
Well, let's turn to the cruise itself then, Ryan. This is a 5-day cruise in the Disney Dream out of Miami. You guys stop at Grand Cayman, Castaway Cay, and then 2 sea days. Just a great itinerary, I think, for the first cruise. We've talked about it a lot. 4 is probably our minimum. If you can do it, 5's even better as far as that start off. How did you guys get down to Florida from Detroit? Then did you guys go to Orlando or did you fly straight to Miami?
Yeah, flew into Orlando, did a couple days at Disney World, and then drove from Orlando to Miami.
And how was that drive? Have you done that before? Because that's a little bit of a long drive. We've done it before, but did you guys drive down the day of the cruise, or what did you guys do for that?
Yeah, morning of. We got up, left at 7, and we were down in Miami like 2.5 hours or so.
Yeah, that's pretty good timing. So
it really wasn't bad. There was
if it was 2.5 hours, you drove a little fast, but that's okay. Good job.
Yeah, we probably did.
Well, people drive fast on that turnpike.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're used to that. In Detroit, we drive fast. We
Right.
don't have time for the slowness.
Did you drop the car off at the airport then, or?
Dropped it off right at the port. They had one right at the port. We dropped it off and
they'd give you a bus right over there from the car drop off over to the terminal, or how'd you guys make your way there?
They offered that. There was a lot of people who were doing the same thing, having rented cars, dropping them off and taking the bus over. So we ended up just Ubering, which was even easier, to be honest.
I'm like trying to figure out, like, that's a pretty short Uber ride, right? Sometimes Uber drivers, they won't give you the time of the day to give you a short ride, but that's
no,
cool.
it was like a $12 ride and he was great. And we popped over, like it took almost nothing. So
you arrive on the ship. Who is traveling with you?
My wife and daughter.
How old is your daughter?
She is 9 years old.
What port arrival time did you have?
We were on at 11:30.
Wow. Early. Nice. So you're entering on the Disney Dream, beautiful atrium. Donald sitting there. Is that Donald?
Yeah, Admiral Donald, the best statue
Steve's
of the fleet right there.
Donald is sitting there. Poor Chris, cringing right now. So Donald saying hi to you with the statue. What were your first impressions?
As you guys know, you walk in and they've got like somebody with a microphone and they announce your family coming on and there's like cast members there clapping. And so it was a very like welcoming feeling. I think just me being a dad, like I more just like to sort of focus on my daughter and see sort of how she's reacting and responding to it. And I mean, she just like her eyes just lit up, just, because it was something she hadn't seen before, right? Like we live in Michigan, so when we go on boats, they're like, pontoon boats or speedboats. And, to be on this gigantic ship in this atrium with, Goofy standing there waving and like cast members clapping for you. Like I think she probably felt like a little like celebrity that day. It was just a really neat experience getting to see her, enjoy that. And then for us, just this giant open atrium with this ginormous blue and gold chandelier, just a really beautiful setting.
See, Steve, this is why we do first time cruiser reports, because it reminds us the magical moments, because it's great for us, but to even Ryan's watching it through his daughter's eyes, and we get to watch it through him watching it through his daughter's eyes as the first time cruiser. It brings back that fun Disney magic. I just love it.
I love the way you described that, and putting the focus on your daughter too, to see how she reacted to it. Yeah, what a magical moment for you and your family to walk on. So we always kind of talk about this, like what did you do, when you first get on? Did you go get food, you go explore the ship? But being first time on a ship like that, what did you want to do? What were you excited about doing?
We were starving because we had gotten up at 7 and drove from Animal Kingdom Lodge down to Miami. Again, having listened to other podcasts and read things, my wife was like, no, we're not going to go to Cabanas and do the buffet. We're going to go to have like a sit down lunch. So we went to Animator's Palette and had like a really nice sit down lunch. After that, like we were already like in our bathing suits and stuff. Like we came like ready to go. So we hopped up to the top deck and went swimming for a little bit. And then as the ship was leaving port, we were standing around and watching the Miami skyline pass by, just really taking it all in.
Yeah, I think that's like one of the iconic sailaways that Disney provides, is going out of Miami. I know it's one of Chris's favorite. You get to see all the celebrity houses down there. Christie's other house that's down there at the end as you sail away.
Yeah.
in the gated community. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys go to the sail away party? Were you able to watch that?
Did go to the sail away party, right? Which I thought, again, having cruised, I've been on Royal Caribbean and Celebrity and some other cruises. I mean, I don't think anyone does a sail away party quite like Disney does, right? Number one, you got Mickey and all of those guys dancing. The cast members are sort of scattered out throughout the deck, getting everybody involved and singing and dancing. And again, just for me, being up there, just watching my daughter dance and enjoy it, to me was probably the most special thing. I think it's also, for me, like a big part of it was the timing, right? Like we've done very limited travel for the last few years because of the pandemic. And so to be, out on this ship, and I don't know if you guys would agree, I felt like cruising was like sort of like the last of those doors to reopen in terms of travel. So to actually be on a cruise ship after 2.5 years of lockdowns and then restrictions and masking, and to see her being out there, like being able to enjoy it and not really have to worry about a contagion was for me just like, it was very relaxing, like to be in that environment, just after the last couple of years of all the things that we've had to do to be sort of restrictive.
And I'm going to put my own like feelings into this, but to me, always that sailaway, like it's the start of the adventure too, which I think is super exciting, especially with Disney Cruise Line. Like, like we're off. What are we going to do? What are we going to see? All the things ahead of you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So,
and for us being first timers, like we had no idea like what to expect. So like, even when they blow the horn and it's playing like, the different Disney tunes, you're like, oh, wow. Like that's totally cool and neat. I didn't know they did that.
I love that. So let's turn to the cabin you guys booked, your family of 3. You guys just got at an Animal Kingdom Lodge. Well, I guess the question I want to ask you is, what did you book? But then also, how did it meet your needs, or how did you feel about it compared to like staying at like just the regular places you see on Disney? Obviously, it's smaller than probably anything else you said, but how would you kind of compare it to it? Like, was it like an elevated experience? That's not the right question, but do you understand where I'm kind of going with this at all?
Yeah. So we had a veranda room backside on the 5th floor. So we were on the back of the ship. Again, when we booked it, when you book like 2 weeks out, you don't really get to be too picky about what room you're going to wind up with. And so when we saw it was backside, we were initially like, ooh, like, is that going to be problematic? Like with the engines and stuff? Shockingly, it was not.
the beauty of the Dream is it doesn't go anywhere when it's going. At least, you know, most of it, like Castaway, obviously the Caymans is a little further, but she's a bigger ship. She can handle it. She's not as vibraty as some of her counterparts. Even the Fantasy is more vibraty than the Dream. So lucky there.
Yeah, we didn't, like I said, you could hear a little bit of the engine, which candidly at night, like kind of like helped put us all to sleep.
Yeah, for sure.
But couldn't hear the clubs that were below us, couldn't hear, you know, the one nice thing about being on the backside was that there wasn't a lot of foot traffic through the hallways. There was only a couple rooms by us. We had laundry across. And so we didn't really hear a lot of people. It ended up being pretty quiet. In terms of the room itself, look, the one thing I loved about it right off the bat was the separate rooms for the sink, toilet, and then a separate room with a sink and shower. A lot of cruises I've done before didn't have that. It was just sort of like a small stand-in shower right next to the sink and toilet. So being able to have those two rooms for us both to get ready, or for everyone to get ready and sort of at the same time, was really helpful. You know,
and with a 9-year-old, you need separation because you can't be getting ready and taking a shower with your 9-year-old daughter in the same space. So having this extra Disney was really smart with their split bathrooms. I feel like when my kid was really little and we didn't need to worry about doors being closed as much, things like that. Then I was like, oh, these bathrooms, they're too small, this and that. But yes, it's definitely for families and for when you have multiple children or older kids, it really is helpful to have that split bath situation.
Yeah, it was great. And you know, we had the bed for my wife and I, then the curtain that sort of divides the room in half, and then the couch. We did not have the second pull away bed from like the top. We didn't have the top bunk, but we only have one. So it didn't really matter. Like they turned it into a bed at night and put her little stuffed animals there, and she's like happy as a clam.
I love that.
Yeah, having your stateroom host can really make it a magical experience too. Like especially when the kids are younger, as far as putting the animals in their beds for them and doing different things with them and stuff. And the towel animals when you come back, I love that. So
like it was like a highlight for her, like right, like coming back from dinner and like what is my towel gonna look like was just great because those are like the little touches that I think really sort of make it stand out for you when you're on that trip of sort of taking it to the next level.
I think it's a highlight for me. Like, I want to know. My son always knows not allowed to touch the towel animal until mom has seen it and taken a picture of it.
Mom's got to get it on the gram first.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's jump into the food, Christy.
Yeah. So as you now know, Disney has rotational dining where you go to 3 restaurants in assigned dining time and your servers go with you. What did you guys think of that? First, let's go with, did you have late dining or early dining?
Yeah, great question. Because we were originally scheduled with late dining. When we got onto the boat, we went and met with them and they got us into the early dining.
And where was the meeting location on the Dream?
For us, it was outside of the Enchanted Garden.
Okay, so deck 2, midship.
Yep.
And I do believe that is where they're doing it on the Fantasy as well. On the Wish, we know that they're making those changes on Luna, and on the Magic and the Wonder. Steve, do you recall where they're doing those dining changes? It used to be in like the Royal Court or whatever it's called, Triton something restaurant. But
I thought it was there right at the Royal Court or Triton's the center restaurant when you come on, so it's convenient for you.
And I think it's probably still that way. So okay, good. So you went and you made the change. Now, had you requested early dining prior to the cruise? Like, did you put it in when you made the booking?
I don't remember if we did or not. And I don't remember if we were able to, given how late we booked. I just know that
these are reasons you'll tell your wife to book with a travel agent instead of booking in the middle of the night.
I know.
It's okay. But okay, so you get on the ship, you request it. Were you able to be moved that night to early dining?
Oh yeah. That moment, like when they had a little laptop sitting outside the thing and they said, okay, you're now early dining. The only thing we didn't have, and it wasn't an issue with them. It was an issue with that my last name has an apostrophe. And we spent multiple visits trying to get that fixed in the app. We couldn't get our seat assignment. That was the only thing. And that is a whole other story. But the only thing we couldn't get, but it wasn't, again, because of them. It was just because I've got a weird last name.
Well, and they have a weird system. Okay. Well, so good to know. People need to be aware. So, and then what did you guys think? What was your rotation?
Our rotation was Royal Palace Animators, Enchanted Garden, Royal Palace.
What did you think of the different restaurants?
Liked them all. We had Animators for the Pirate Night, which I thought was really cool because that room, unlike the other ones, has the screens, and so they were able to put a lot of the pirate decor up, and it would change throughout the night. So that was a really cool room to have that in. But again, yeah, like Chrissy said, other cruises that I've been on, this was the first time with rotational dining. Every other time I've done a cruise, it's one dining room, same waiter, same wait team. This one, same waiter and wait team, but different places to eat. And really wasn't underestimated, I guess, how much of an impact that would have on the overall cruise experience.
So what was that impact?
To me, it felt like you were getting to go to different restaurants every night. It was something I really enjoyed doing, because especially being a first timer and having never been on this boat, I'm like, I don't know what Royal Palace has. I don't know what Animator's Palette. It was just like every night going to a different restaurant. Whereas, on other cruise lines, it's same restaurant, same spot, and same group that you're working with.
What did your daughter think about the serving team? Did she have a good time with them?
She did, yeah. She, because they would come by at the end of the night. Our waiter did puzzles, would put crayons on the table, and you had to try to figure out how to do certain things. He did some magic tricks for her. So yeah, for her, getting those things at the end of the night was fun. There was things that they'll tell you that aren't on the menu. Maybe they're not on the adult menu. Maybe they're on the kids menu. I didn't know Mickey bars were an option for dessert. So she loved yes, I can get an ice cream sundae and also a Mickey bar.
And it's not $6 and whatever.
Right.
So it's just,
and they're the same Mickey bars, because I watched them at their preparation station, literally opening up the packages, from the premium Mickey bars. Not like the ones you buy at your grocery store where they're
right.
they're the real deal.
Did your daughter have a favorite restaurant? What would she say, do you think?
I think Animators, because number one, the Pirate Night I thought was really well done there, but two, she's a huge Turtle Talk with Crush fan. So getting to do that while dining was huge for her. Loved it.
I love all these insights. The first time cruiser insight. This is why we're doing sort of a series, if you will. Less a series, just going to try to get more recordings with first timers because it's just so fun again.
Okay, so one more question for you. What was your favorite restaurant, Ryan?
I'm trying to think of. I like
just say
Pirate
Royal
Night,
Court.
so I'm trying to decide if I like.
Say Royal Court. It's Royal Court.
No, it's not. This is the first person ever to say Pirate Night was their favorite night of dinner. This is great.
I
You can say it if you want.
Pirates, so I'll say Royal Court just for fun. I did enjoy it. It was we had a great seating area, and it was really nice in there. I'm gonna say that one.
Okay.
Did you get escargot?
No.
Oh, that's Steve's favorite. Did you get fried brie?
I have listen, you don't want to do any sort of food questions for me because I have a toddler's palate. So
okay. So no fried brie either?
Nope.
Chicken nuggets all the way. with the Mickey
Amber,
ketchup.
he and Amber are gonna get their French fries and call it fine dining. I understand. It's fine.
Yep.
Okay, before we move on this, I think we on our show probably sometimes do a little disservice to Pirate Night because I think there's a lot of people love Pirate Night. And I will say that if you're at Animator's Palette in either one of the ships, whether it's the Magic or the Dream, or the Magic class or the Dream class ships, they do that is the perfect place for Pirate Night because of the animation that you get to see versus the other restaurants. And that really can make a difference, I think, because we were in Animator's Palette on the Magic over in the Mediterranean, and it was awesome sitting there watching, them go through the different animation sequences and scenes and stuff. So,
wait, what do they show?
Well, they show scenes from Pirates of the Caribbean. They show things from Peter Pan with Captain Hook, just all the different pirate stuff that you can think of that Disney has in their catalog.
Yeah,
that's cool.
They had some drawings from the Imagineers, as they were creating the ride and attraction. So you got to see, right there, some of the original ones. It was, like I said, that's why I'm torn about whether it's my favorite or not, because I really just enjoyed getting to see that and dine while that was going on.
Don't tell my son, you guys, because I don't know that we're ever in the dining room on pirate night, just about. And that would be right up his alley. He would love that. That's fine.
Anything else about dining, I guess?
There's a lot of food available all the time. The one thing, I don't know if it's like dining related, I think like my kid's favorite stop was Vanellope's for the ice cream.
Mm-hmm.
Like she just absolutely loved that.
Now, did you guys get the quick service or the soft serve ice cream as well, or just the scooped ice cream?
Nope, soft serve ice cream, and then a couple trips to Vanellope's.
Vanellope's is the upcharge ice cream for listeners that might be new to the show or to Disney Cruise Line. So
yeah, and in typical Disney fashion, they lure you in by selling you a sundae in Vanellope's car.
Do you own that? Do you have that car now?
Absolutely.
I love it.
Of course I do.
You have the light up pirate mug too from Pirate Night?
Yes.
I'm still bitter that I own that mug. I'm just going to say I'm like angry. And I have a Crush turtle sipper as well. Oh my God. The things that
they did not tell us about that, by the way. Like our team did not tell us. And we saw it walking out and my kid was like, was that available? And my wife's like, no, I think that was for somebody. Cause she was also like, I'm not taking any more mugs home.
Yeah, and they're not like you're going to ever use them again. So they sit on a shelf, but whatever.
I do court hearings with my pirate mug. I don't know what you're talking about. And I push the light on too, like it's the full effect.
I guess that's when you're in charge. You get to do those things. Let's just stick with food for one more minute, Ryan. During the day, where did you guys eat lunch? Did you do the quick service on the pool deck? Did you go to cabanas? Did you go to the sit down?
Yes. we ate way too much. We would typically do cabanas for both breakfast and lunch. And then like if we were still hungry or somebody didn't eat a lot, because not everybody eats the same amount at the same time, right? So if you were maybe somebody who was heavy on breakfast, you didn't have as much at cabanas at lunch. So then, you'd go to Flo's and grab like a piece of pizza or the hamburger or something. So we did honestly all of them for lunch. The only food thing we never did was room service. I did no room service.
Do you regret that now?
Yes, because I found out from people after that, like you can just have things like if you want a Mickey bar, they'll just bring you Mickey bars. And I'm why didn't I just think of that?
And it is included in your cruise fare. There's actually very little that you could pay for during room service from Disney Cruise Line. But as of now, everything else is included. Breakfast is very much just continental breakfast. And then lunch and dinner, they do have a small, like anytime menu. And that includes, I know some people get like cookies and milk in the evening. And you can also get Mickey bars and just call them up and tip a couple dollars. And they bring it to you.
Yeah, that was a first timer mistake there on my part.
It's okay. It happens.
So let's stick with your daughter then, Ryan. Did she go to the kids clubs and what did she think of them?
Yeah, so my daughter's an only child, and I don't know how other people with only children feel. She tends to be very clingy to my wife and I, not having any siblings to sort of hang out with or go with. So we didn't really push the kids club on her. We told her that it was there. Obviously, when she got there for, to board the boat, they gave her the magic band. And so she knew that there was this club that was available for her. And then what we would typically do, first day was our C day, is just sort of go through the app and talk about all the activities. And included in that were the things that were at the kids club. And so the very first day, they had, I think it was called Pluto's Pajama Party. And we said, oh, this is going on from like 8 to 9 or something. And she said, do you think I could go to like Pluto's Pajama Party? And we were like, sure. So, walked her down to the Oceaneers Club. She went in and we said, like, we'll be back in an hour. Like, we'll come back and get you in an hour. She's like, perfect. Came back in an hour. Can I stay another hour? Sure. Came back in another hour. Like, can I? And I think at that point we're like, no, we got an island tomorrow. Like you're going to bed. And really, as the week progressed, I noticed her more and more asking, well, what's going on at Kids Club? Like, what different types of things are they doing today? So much so that by the last night that we were there, our last dinner was at Royal Palace or Royal Court. And like at dinner time, like as my wife and I were getting ready, she goes, do you think I can like skip dinner and just go to Kids Club? Which we were like, both surprised by, but then like it was an impromptu like date night, which we weren't really expecting.
Yes. So yes is
So
the
we were
answer
like,
to that question.
yeah, oh yeah, we were like, absolutely. Like, of course you can go to kids club. And and even the people that we had gotten to know around our table were like, where's your daughter? Where is she tonight? It's the last one. And we're like, yeah, she wanted to go to kids club. I was very surprised by that, but also like doing the open house, which you can go and sit and do some of the activities with your kids during some of them. Just really impressed, number one, with the staffing, how many folks they actually had that were working there. The immersiveness of it, the Dream has Andy's room. It's got the Star Wars setup, and then there's one more that I'm forgetting.
It's like some Marvel stuff, but I think it's mixed in with the Star Wars stuff, I think.
Yes. So she was, this is a kid who's never ridden Smuggler's Run because it's too intense for her, but she, like, when I walked by one time, like, was at the Star Wars thing, which is sort of a poor man's version of Smuggler's Run, where you can captain and fly the Millennium Falcon. Really like impressed by just the amount of things that they had to do, because I cruised as a kid and remember going to kids clubs, and they were nothing like what Disney was offering now.
Yeah. And so see, now you got to go on another cruise because she likes it so much. She will go even longer. Obviously, you want to spend time with your child on the cruise, but it's also nice to get some adult time. And my kid, like, sometimes he'll go and we just have to pull him out to eat, and he'll spend like the rest of the time in there. Yeah. You just kind of have to like get him to go in, especially if they enjoy playing with other kids. And some kids are just not into that kind of thing. But if they can get behind that idea, then they just have to get that little push.
Well, and that's where I thought their staff was really, the cast members there were really great at making sure everybody was included. Nobody was sort of on their
Left
own.
out, right.
And then like you're Disney, you have like this built-in ability to do things like, we're going to make slime with Stitch. Like, I'm an adult and I would love to make slime with Stitch. Like, what kid isn't going to like run and like sign up for that? Or like Mickey's going to like, hang out with you like in the afternoon, and Pluto's going to like, do magic marker pillow covers. Like, every kid like that age is going to like sign up and want to do that. And like, I think there's adults that would also love to like do those things too.
I think you made a good point too, as far as, going through the app and finding activities. If your kid's maybe a little bit shyer, or you are traveling with just one child or something like that, finding those activities can kind of open the doors to the kids clubs, rather than, just dropping them off when sometimes there's just everybody kind of running around and maybe they feel a little bit lost. So maybe a good way to start off was like what you did with Pluto's Pajama Party, to kind of introduce them to the club. Or that's one good technique, I think, or one good way. Yeah. Well, let's stick with the activities. So many different things to do on the cruise line. What were some of the things that you and your wife enjoyed, and maybe you and your family enjoyed together?
I did. I'm a bourbon guy, so I was happy and excited to see them offer a bourbon tasting and class. That was, I think, our second day at sea in the evening.
Let's take 5 minutes and just talk about that, because we've never talked about the bourbon tasting class. So if you're a bourbon drinker, two questions then. Did you learn anything in it? And two, what was the quality of the bourbons you got to taste?
So I'm married to my wife's family is from Kentucky. So there wasn't a lot about bourbon that I didn't already know. But the presentation was still, I thought, really, really well done. And it was a very small group of people. There was only 4 other people in that tasting. So it's a very intimate setting. It's not like you're sitting there with like 25, 30 other people. And so for them who had not done the bourbon tasting before, I just talked to them after, and they said, wow, I learned like a lot more than I thought I was going to coming off of this. When they did the bourbon tasting, they had everything set up for you. You got it, and it was $45, which I really didn't think was that unreasonable. You got, let me see, they started off with an old fashioned. I'm trying to go through the bourbon list now. Then you got Knob Creek, Woodford, Larceny. I thought there was 5. I might be missing one. The 5th one is Blanton's, which, if you're a bourbon person, like, Blanton's is chef's kiss, like, just so good. Very hard to find. Like, to have that as part of the package, I was like, oh, this is like fantastic. Like, we're getting Blanton's. So I thought like the quality of bourbon, like, for what they offered, there wasn't Jim Beam in there, not to like knock Jim Beam if anyone from Jim Beam's listening, but it was much higher end quality whiskeys or bourbons in terms of what I've seen other tastings offer. The bartender was very knowledgeable. Like, honestly, probably one of the best old fashions I've ever had. And just sort of walking through and talking about as we went bourbon by bourbon, just sort of talking through like what, nodes there were and what you could get hints of and those types of things was very involved.
It's good to hear that, because I think Christy and I have done the champagne tasting together, and they definitely step up with quality champagnes too. So it's good to hear that they do that with their bourbons as well. And that's one of the classes I haven't taken yet, and I'm looking forward to sometime in the future. Yeah,
highly recommend. If you're on the ship and it's offered, definitely do it.
I will not be joining you for that one, Steve. I just will not be. But I'm happy that you will have something that you can enjoy.
Exactly. Well, I'll drink Dave with maybe or something like that, and then I'll drink
He's
his.
not going to bourbon tasting.
Well, I'll drink so I can drink his. That's why.
Okay, yeah, you can do that.
Well,
that's fine.
let's turn to another activity that you guys did that I know that you would like to talk about, Christy, and that's Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique.
Yeah. So you guys found a time. Now you booked it obviously a couple weeks before. When were you able to get into Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique?
When was our day that we went in?
Yeah. Like, what was your appointment time?
It was our Grand Cayman day. So that would have been our second day at sea, 4:30 in the afternoon.
Oh, kind of a perfect time before your 5:30 dinner. And that was your dress up night.
Right.
I wonder if somebody canceled. Like, I feel like that would actually be a popular time. The second night of the cruise is typically going to be optional dress up night on a Disney cruise or dress up night, but people do what they want, whether they're going to dress up or not. And then because it was a day at sea, that's almost, you said the Caymans though.
Cayman day.
So that was the third day of the cruise.
Second.
Just still a good. I thought you had a day at sea.
Do you count the day when you board the ship as a day?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't. Yes. So then yes, third.
Well, you don't, but everybody else does.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
I'm like, that's like a half day at best.
That's fine.
That's a half day.
Okay, so your Cayman Island day, 4:30, enough time though, perfect time. You have to get ready for dinner anyway. So how was that experience? Did you both take her, or did just one of you take her to Bibbidi Bobbidi? Like, how was the experience?
Yeah, and we weren't really sure because, again, with the reopening post-pandemic, there were a lot of rules. Like, we were told everyone has to have a mask, and it's limited to one parent per child. When we walked in, you did not have to wear a mask, and we were both able to go, which was a lot of fun. My daughter only has done it one other time, and it was at Disney World. She was 4, so it's been like a 5-year gap for her between doing them. And the first time she wanted to surprise me with how she looked. And so this was my first time getting to see like what Bibbidi Bobbidi was all about. Yeah, the room that they set aside was a lot bigger than I thought it was going to be. And let the kids walk through, pick out the dress, which I don't know if it's my kid or every other 9-year-old girl. I felt like took forever to land on which dress.
What did she end up with?
She got Ariel. Which surprised me. I really thought she was going to go Elsa.
Yeah.
But she ended up going, she's got Anna from the last time she went. So this was a bit of a curveball. So she went with the Ariel one. And her fairy godmother, her name was Brenda, just fantastic. Like, talked to her, engaged with her, would tell stories about, her training as a 300-year-old fairy godmother. Just that whole experience for her, and I know she's a little bit on the older side because she's 9, but I mean, she just absolutely loves it.
Oh, that's great. And so are you happy that you guys chose that for her as an experience? Okay.
Yeah. Because up until, I think Disney World didn't reopen theirs until maybe the week or two after our cruise. So that for us was something we weren't able, we don't live down there. So we can't just pop over to the Springs or to Magic Kingdom to get that done. So for us to have that available on the ship was like, that was, when we booked the ship, that was the only thing my kid had on her itinerary. She's like, I just want to do Bibbidi Bobbidi.
Well, that's great. Great that you got it.
And I love the fact that the cast members treat them like princesses, and you did for the rest of the night too, as they're.
Oh yeah. I mean, they, you know, we were very lucky because there were a bunch of princesses meeting in the atrium. So she's dressed up, Ariel's down there. Like you get that experience in that moment between the two of them. There was, I mean, you guys know how it is. Like you're, you know, the waiters and everyone's calling you, you know, your highness. And it's, you know, it just, again, it's just something that's, I think, unique to Disney and how they can take their characters and their stories and make you a part of it.
Let's stick with the characters then. You know, unlike Disney World, where you have to get up 180 days prior to be able to book Mickey to see him or her, Minnie. What was the character experience?
None of that's
like?
right, but go on.
What was the character experience like on the ship for you guys?
Characters were great. It was a little bit weird because we were at Disney World where you can hug and stand next to them. And our cruise was actually the last cruise that had any type of distancing between the characters. The very next cruise, that restriction was lifted. So it for us was a little bit strange that like we hugged Mickey at Magic Kingdom and then he followed us to the Disney Dream and we stood 4 feet away from him. But if you're listening to this now, that's not really an issue for anybody until the next pandemic. The one thing that I realized pretty early on was, you know, when the character, you know, the early nights of the cruise, as everyone's boarding and the characters are out, lines were huge, like very long to wait to see the characters. As the cruise went on, the same characters would be available, but the lines were significantly shorter. So if you're somebody who's tip. Like, yeah, if you're boarding and you're like, oh, you know, I want to get a photo with Mickey, but I don't want to wait 90 people deep, you will get a chance to meet Mickey and it will be significantly shorter.
That is a good tip. The only, I guess, caveat maybe I would say is that their outfits change as the cruise goes on. So some outfits may not fully be repeated.
Yes.
But
very lawyerly of you to get that full disclosure in. But yeah, so like Pirate Mickey, for example, right, won't be coming back. You got to get Pirate Mickey on Pirate Night.
And to that end, if you wanted Captain Mickey, you can't find him on Pirate Night.
Right.
So
I thought you were going to say you can't find him anywhere.
No, right? Because he's now first mate.
He's first mate.
Another joke. Okay, so did you guys, speaking of characters, they will take the picture. They have a photographer there. Did you guys get a picture package for your first cruise, or
yes.
What did you end up? Okay.
Yes.
Did you get the whole picture package?
We got whichever one lets you download all the photos that are taken of you.
Okay, good. So unlimited. And how did you feel like for your first cruise? Did you feel like that was a good value?
Absolutely.
Or are you happy that you did it?
Yes. I would recommend. Full disclosure, I'm the guy who like always gets, you know, the photo package when I go down to Disney World, right? Was it Magic Maker, whatever it's called?
Memory Maker.
Memory Maker. Thank you. I get it so much. I don't even know the name of it. For me, there's just something nice about not having to worry about, is my phone going to work? Or, you know, is somebody going to take a good photograph on it? It's built in and it's there. And honestly, the photos that were taken on the boat were some of the best Disney photos we've ever had. And that includes going to every park they have. Like the photographers there were just exceptional. I mean, we've like framed many of the photos that we had on that boat where we don't typically do that off of Disney trips. I think it's tremendous value, especially if you've got kids who are going to be going and seeing characters, being able to just tap your key to the world and have it, you know, in your account is just so seamless and easy.
Other entertainment. Did you guys go to the shows in the evening?
Yes.
And what did you think?
Really liked. So let me see. What's the first one? Golden Mickey's. Really good. Our show, like our Disney show, was Beauty and the Beast. And I had seen Aladdin on Broadway in March this year. And and I've said this to other people, I thought that the production quality for the cruise show was on par with the Broadway show. I was really surprised how good that show and entertainment was. There was a magician that they had brought on. He was really good, very engaging. The last show, is it Believe?
It's either Believe or Dreams. I can't remember.
Yeah, ours was Believe, and that one we left halfway through. That was like that didn't do it for us. So that was the only.
I can understand. Sure.
Yeah, that was like the one the one down show. But other than that, the shows were great. The one tip that we got from listening to folks like you was for like the big shows. Like I know different boats do different shows, to get there early to get seats, because like the Beauty and the Beast, there was not a seat available. Like every seat was taken. And I'm not sure if that's a early show or early dinner, late dinner thing, but at least having the early dinner, that first show or that second show is always very busy.
No, that's a good point, because usually early dinner is full. There's more people at early dinner than the late dinner, so that you've got more people to compete with on that show than you do if you're doing the earlier show and going to the later dinner. So good points there. Before we talk about Castaway Cay, what else was there anything else that stood out on the ship that you guys did? Did you guys do Match Your Mate, just you and your wife, or any of those type of shows, or shows with your daughter?
We did a lot of the trivia, the like Frozen trivia, Disney music trivia, she loves doing those things. And so we did those. And then there was a show called Generation Gap, where it was 2 older folks, 2 younger folks. And my kid just begged me to do it with her. So her and I had to do it together, which the kids won, which is a total ripoff. I'm just going to tell you, total ripoff, because I actually got on a stage in front of people and twerked. And if you saw me, you know I'm not the person who should be twerking. And if that doesn't get you the winner's medal, I don't know what will. So I was really like very upset walking out. I mean, not really, because she got it. Yeah, we did a lot of those shows during the day and had a lot of fun doing them.
So I know you sound like a pretty shy guy, but one of the things that we try to tell people, is, and I did not do it the first couple of cruises, but we tell them, like, go to those shows and engage, get up there on stage and make a fool of yourself with your kids. How did that change your cruise, or did that kind of make the cruise for you too, to be able to spend that time and like get to know the cast members and everything else, I guess is what I'm going with?
Yeah, and I sort of have a similar philosophy where I go, you're on a boat with people you're never going to see again in your life. So if I'm up there and I'm dancing and I can't dance, or I'm singing and I definitely can't sing, I'm never going to see another one of those people ever again. We definitely are that family that I think sort of tries to embrace it. My kid loves doing, she's a cheerleader, and so she loves being out in front of people. For her, like being able to do those things with me, like, again, watching it through her eyes, those types of things were more special, and I enjoyed them more because it was something I was able to do with her.
To me, when we've taken the time to do that, my wife and our youngest son they did Generation Class 2, like you did. And we just still laugh about some of the things that they did up there. So,
oh yeah,
yeah. And I did some pirate thing with Blake where I had to swab the deck, and same concept. Like, I'm up there just being completely crazy, but it's good. We do it with our kids and they make core memories.
Yep.
One of the big selling points of a Disney cruise is Castaway Cay. You guys had a couple things booked for that. I think Christy enjoys Castaway Cay. She's talked about it a couple times.
Hate it. Awful. It's the worst place. The best place ever. So how did you enjoy Castaway Cay?
Loved Castaway Cay. In fact, when we left Castaway Cay, my wife said, there are cruises that'll do double trips here, and we should do that one. And I was like, yes. For me, one of the big things that I love about Disney and why we frequent there is sort of the cleanliness and the fact that they have this island that they can completely make their own, and it still feels like the Bahamas, but it also sort of has that element of Disney cleanliness and safety. It was just something that I was looking forward to experiencing. I had, again, read about Castaway Cay. Why do they call it Key and not K, by the way? What's with that?
It's something about the way the Bahamian islands out there are. It's like, it's from that. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Because I was mispronouncing it for like half of my trip.
That's okay. You call the ship a boat too, so it's fine. Everybody, everybody does things like that in the beginning.
I'm starting to feel bad for Steve. Like, the longer this goes, no, I'm kidding. So we got out there. The first thing we did, our first thing was parasailing. So like off the boat, we did the parasailing, which was phenomenal. My only complaint was that it was just too short. I GoPro'd the whole thing and it was like 4 minutes. And I was like, wow, that was really fast for $120. But it was a really cool experience just getting to be up 600 feet or whatever it is and getting some terrific views of the ship and the island.
Did your daughter
ship, not boat? What?
Did your daughter do it as well?
Yes, it was her and I.
Okay.
So yeah, we did that together
and did she like it?
Loved it.
Awesome.
It. Wants to go again, which I'm sure we will the next trip down there. And so while we were doing that, my wife got a spot at the beach and had got some snorkeling gear. And so we did the snorkeling.
Did you guys swim all the way out to in the snorkeling lagoon where they have the items
of course
buried? Okay.
Yeah.
And your daughter did that as well?
Yeah.
And she did well at 9, which is good.
Loved
this is
it.
like good lessons or good knowledge for people.
Yeah. Loved it. She's a swimmer. She does swim team. So for her, it wasn't like terribly taxing. The one mistake that I made, if I can give a first timer's tip, is I said, I don't need the flippers. I can just manage on my own. And that was a really horrible mistake because I was out there for 90 minutes and the flippers would have been a lot more helpful getting out that far. And I don't want to spoil anything, but again, that was one thing that I had not read a lot about. I knew that Disney had planted some things down there and I had an idea of what they could be. And I was really excited to see some things from my childhood now sitting at the bottom. So that one was really cool. Like the snorkeling experience was really neat in getting to see that. It was sort of you guys remember when Typhoon Lagoon used to have the snorkeling above? It like kind of reminded me a little bit of that. Like it was, and they don't have it anymore, which is a bummer, but it was really neat to get to be out there and to do that. And again, have those sort of Disney touches along the way.
I have a question about the snorkeling, Steve, and maybe you know this, and Ryan, maybe you know it as well. But so there is the first part when you like first get to the family beach where you can go snorkeling, and then it goes out and around. And then there's the one that's all the way over by the bar, the overhang bar. What is that bar called? Up here, over where people get married, Overlook Bar, something like that. Steve's grabbing something.
I got a picture of it. I can't remember what it's called. I'm told. Go ahead.
Over something bar. But do those two snorkeling? Well, are you going to get the thing? And then I'll
Heads Up Bar.
Heads Up Bar. There you go. Well, look
nice.
at you with your. What is the signed picture?
It's from the captain.
Oh, it's 110.
Alexander, thank you for sailing on the Disney Fantasy.
Wow. So Heads Up Bar. So there's the snorkeling at the front or the beginning of the island, if you will, beginning of the family beach, and snorkeling past the Heads Up Bar. Those are two different places you can enter into the snorkeling lagoon. Do they then go out to the same spot? And Steve's nodding his head yes. So do you want to say that like out loud for the people listening to the podcast?
They do, and it's been a while since I've done the snorkeling there. My gut tells me that the first one gets you out to where the items are faster than the other one.
Okay, that's good to know.
And I think
good
that's
little
correct.
pro tip.
That's the shorter distance to get out to them. But yes, you can go. There's two different places where you can access snorkeling.
And there's the one thing that I guess I was surprised by, but shouldn't have been, is that there's lifeguards stationed all around that sort of path. So if you're somebody who's like, I'm not a strong swimmer, there's folks there. Like, again, like that's like a Disney thing where they, it felt like the Disney resort, but in the middle of the Bahamas, like a resort pool, but in the Caribbean.
And they trade them out back and forth. They've got paddle boards out there that they use that can get out to if somebody gets in trouble quickly.
Yep,
they can get out to them and help them out quickly there. So, anything else about Castaway Cay the day there? Did you guys just hang out at the beach afterwards? You get on the slides?
Slides, yep. With a kiddo, she loves going down the slides, so did that a few times. Went and had lunch there. They do the lunch there on the island, so you don't have to go back to the boat to get food. It's all right there. The lunch I thought was great, like a barbecue. Like, are you kidding? That was fantastic. And then just, some drinks there on the island. And then it's just so their beach area is sand and water. There's no seaweed. There's no fish in it. They maintain it that way. And you're laying on a raft and enjoying a cocktail. Like, I don't know. It's making me sort of like sad sitting here in Michigan right now that I'm not down there right now, but The only thing we didn't do that I did not know about, I guess I didn't listen to all the podcasts, was that there is a 5K that you can do, which I like to run. And I didn't know you could do a 5K there, but then they also were out of the medals. And I'm like a total medal snob. And I was like, well, I wouldn't have run that anyways. But now I know there's a 5K there. So
in the olden days, it was a like group activity that started and stopped. Well, it stopped whenever you were done, but at the same time, Disney sort of organized it more. And now they're not doing it at the moment in an organized fashion. And we'll see what happens in the future.
But there are supposedly new medals coming, which is kind of cool. And they're really kind of cool looking. I like them. So
there's my incentive for doing another cruise.
Exactly.
There you go.
You could do a double dip where you could do it twice.
Yeah.
Well, a couple more questions, and then I'd love to get your thoughts on tips for first-time cruisers that maybe you learn, kind of thinking back. But, the one thing we didn't talk about, you said you're a huge pirate fan. Well, how was the pirate deck party, and what did you guys think of the fireworks on board?
Very cool. We tried to get a spot along the railing, and I guess that might fall into the first-time tip category, is you got to get there early if you want to get one of those railing spots above to be able to see the show. We were sort of behind some folks a little bit, so it had a bit of an obstructed view. But the show itself, having Jack Sparrow come out and having all the characters and Captain Hook told like a little story and was a lot of fun. The fireworks, again, this was being my first Disney cruise, and I think somebody had said they're the only cruise line that does fireworks. Again, just a really neat experience being in the middle of the Caribbean and having fireworks launched off of the side of your boat. Not something that I had experienced before. And again, my daughter's experience with it, she loves those shows, right? We go down and see. God, it's hard for me to talk about Enchantment because it's just not that great. So Happily Ever After is coming back, and so she'll be happy to see that one. So that's part of our Disney vacation experience, and so having something like that onto the boat was just a really cool and unique experience. And then the pirate buffet afterwards, where they had sort of the specialty decorations using the food and the melons and the bread, was really fun. And again, just more food to eat.
How about the aqueduct? Did you guys do the aqueduct?
Many, 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 many times. Probably north of 20, I think.
Oh wow!
Loved the aqua. Like we would literally go to the show, finish, Beauty and the Beast, run back to the room and get swim shorts on, and then we could do 3 and 4 runs on the aqueduct before it closed at 10.
That's smart. Such a pro tip.
Yeah. Pro tip from a first timer. Yeah, it was no line and just over and over. And by the way, aqueduct at night is so much cooler than aqueduct during the day.
Definitely. I love it at night when especially when you get to the clear part, when you're going through and you get the ship and everything's all lit up as you're going sailing by. So That's pretty cool.
Yep.
Did anything happen as far as getting off the ship or anything like that?
No.
Pretty easy. Okay.
To me, really seamless. It was a really easy experience. Got off. We actually missed our dining reservation in the morning. We overslept. So we weren't expecting to get any.
No first dining person goes to that breakfast. Almost no first
it's so
dining.
Early. Yeah.
So early.
Right. And we made a business decision that we were going to get sleep instead of food, but actually walked by our restaurant and they got us in on the second one. So good. Yeah, it ended up working out for us.
2 tips for the last morning, really quick, just for listeners, for other first timers. You can go to Cabanas. They serve breakfast until 8:30. They shut that thing off at 8:30, like to the second. You have got, they will cut your hand off. They close that curtain and they are giving no more food out. So get there before 8:30 to get your food. So you could go to Cabanas, or yes, like you did, you got to go to second dining. Talk to your serving team the day before. They will, or the head waiter, they will see if in a section, if somewhere they have a table that they can put you at, and they will accommodate if they can.
Did you pack your stuff the night before, or did you just take it all with you?
Packed it the night before. We just had some carry-ons that we had taken with us, but our checked bag were packed the night before and left it out there by, 10 p.m. or something.
A lot of people kind of, after you do that a couple times, a lot of people still do that, but then a lot of people kind of get to the point where like, you know what, I don't want to go back at 4 o'clock and have to pack up all my stuff. And so like, I'll go to dinner and everything like that. I'll pack it up and I'll just drag it off with me. So no right or wrong answer there, whatever works best for you.
So as we're wrapping up our show, one of the questions I was really curious about, since you did book so last minute and then you tried to get some information, but you didn't even know that you were thinking of going on the cruise until the last minute. So this is like college prepping or something for an exam to get ready to go. Now that you've cruised, what do you wish you knew before your cruise? And then we're going to get into some other just general tips, but like, what do you think would have made a difference?
Two things that immediately come to mind. One, I wish I had taken more time to watch more videos and familiarize myself with the ship. I don't think that I really got comfortable like knowing which way to go and where things were until like day 4, and then we were off the next day. And there are so many videos out there and websites out there that you can go to that have things that will, you're still going to be some learning curves, but I wish I had just taken more time to sort of familiarize myself with what the layout of the ship was, and that there's sort of that front, back, mid, sort of layout and how you can sort of navigate that. Because for us, at least trying to get to our room on the back, if we didn't go to the staircase in the back, we were going through middle of the ship and walking past Oceaneers Club, which like at the evening pickup is like a nightmare, just trying to like get through all the people. That was the first thing. The second thing, I guess, would be the pools. I was really expecting something different, I think, for the pools. Again, just having been on other ships where I remember them being larger, these pools were really small. And so it's not like going to a hotel pool where you're going to be able to, like, I felt like I was like a sardine. And so I guess like maybe just having known that, I would have placed less of an emphasis in my mind of going, oh, we're going to get some fun pool time, because we did not.
Yeah, kid soup.
Yeah. The pools are super. The most enjoyable pool time was when our kid would go to the kids club and we went to the adult pool. Like that was like the really enjoyable pool time for us, because the two ones, like the Donald and the Mickey pools, are just really small.
And especially with your daughter being a swimmer too, like being comfortable in the water, she's not doesn't just want to bob in there, I guess, like
right.
What it becomes, I guess. So
exactly what it becomes.
And you're right. The adult pools are the best pool, especially in the Dream of the Fantasy, where you get the swim up bar. You can go up there and if you need a beverage to cool off.
Yeah, that was great. More time at the adult pool is my other tip.
Get the kid in the kids club sooner for longer periods.
Any other tips you would give first time cruisers? We've talked about a lot of different things. Anything else stand out in your mind?
I think it just goes to something that you guys had touched on a little bit earlier. And it's something that I talk to friends about when they are doing Disney park trips, which is try not to get too committed to, I have to do everything or I have to do 900 things. You have, for us at least, it was 5 days. We didn't see every character. We didn't do every activity on the boat. There's just no way, there's going to be things that you're going to miss. You're not going to get every excursion. And I know people sort of have this thing when they go to the parks of, if I don't do all 40 rides at Magic Kingdom, like the day was a bust, like you're just not going to get to all 40 rides at Magic Kingdom, especially not anymore and not the way the crowds are. And I felt the same way going on to the cruise, which was, let's try to find the few things that we really want to do. Like for my daughter, Bippity Boppity was like I'd have been at guest services every morning trying to get a spot if we weren't able to get it, because that was the one must do for her. Would I love to have done the champagne tasting or the rum tasting? Sure. There's just not enough time. Like you just aren't going to be able to get to everything. And so I think people get very committed to, I've got to do all of these different things in order for my trip to be successful. And I think when you do that, you set yourself up for failure and disappointment, because there's just no way you're going to get to doing every single thing that the boat offers. I guess that would be sort of my biggest tip. And really being like last minute planners kind of like set that expectation for us, right? Because we sort of walked in being like, well, we aren't going to get to be that picky, because we've got 17 days from which we get to pick the activities and the things that are being offered here, the excursions. And so we kind of came in with that mindset, and it did sort of help us, not really have these grandiose expectations of getting to do all the different things that maybe you want to do, but just aren't going to have time to do.
Really good points there. And to your point too, I mean, some of the best moments when you think back on vacations are the ones that you don't plan, like you being up on stage twerking in front of all those people. Like, and that just, you look back on it and that's the core memory that makes your vacation and puts a smile on your face.
Yep. That was the best memory for the people who watched it too, coincidentally. So it was everybody's favorite moment.
I'm kind of a smart aleck, Ryan, so thanks for running with it. So, well, it sounded like you just had a great time, and I'm excited for you and your family to hopefully come back on a Disney cruise. Welcome to the Castaway Club, by the way, the best club that Disney has to offer. I don't know if it gets you a lot of different things, but it's a great lanyard to wear at least.
So what's next? Do you have another cruise book? Did you book a placeholder?
We booked a placeholder.
Oh yeah, we were messaging about it.
I was messaging you while I was like on the boat, and I was like, do I want to do this? And
I'm like, yes.
Yeah. Do it. It's fully refundable. So yeah, we booked the placeholder. I think what we're looking at doing, because we've already got some stuff lined up for next year, is a 2024 trip to Alaska is what I think we would like to do. But again, I'm really like non-committal about even saying anything, because the way my wife changes our plans, like, you know, we could wind up in Alaska for Christmas. So who knows, but probably not
on a cruise, but maybe.
Yeah.
More of a cargo ship if it's Christmas in Alaska, but well, that's awesome. I love it.
Yeah, it was a lot. It was a great experience. And again, definitely, you know, again, as a park person, this was something that was very different and something that I enjoyed a lot more than I thought I would.
Well, Ryan, thank you so much for taking time today to share your experiences, especially as Christy and I said, we love hearing, you know, first time cruisers, kind of your experiences, because we get jaded's not the right word, but sometimes you forget about, you know, the experiences that you've had and you get to experience over, and you forget what it was like the first time you saw it. So thank you so much for sharing your family's experiences today. And I guess for our listeners too, if they want to follow along with your adventures through the parks, with your upcoming cargo ship cruise to Alaska in December, if they want to see you out on the deck pitching your tent as you head north, or your next Disney cruise, how can people connect with you and follow along?
Yeah. So Instagram is at Dads and Disney, DADSAND DASNEY, and same website. I love writing. I just don't always have as much time to do it. So I do post an occasional article on that, but it's dadsanddisney.com. Again, it's not news, but just fun things that we come across and different tips that we have, having gone to the parks a lot. I'll leave the Disney cruising tips to you guys.
Well, it was a pleasure meeting you. We'd love to have you come back on. I mean, your cruise may be out in a distant future, or maybe it'll be coming sooner than you think, because your wife books it tomorrow. But we'd love to have you come back on and talk some Disney cruising. But also, you know, we don't always talk about the parks on here, but if you ever get down there and do those specialty things like the Halloween parties and stuff like that, it's fun to add that on for people as well. So if you'd like to come on and talk about that, we'd love to have you back.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, Christy might be planning our cruise like next week. You never know. So we'll see. Thank you guys for having me on. It was a lot of fun.
Definitely. All the best, and we'll talk to you soon, Ryan.
Thanks.
Bye.
The DCL podcast is not affiliated with the Disney Cruise Line, Walt Disney Company, Adventures by Disney, or Run Disney. All of the opinions expressed on our shows are those of the hosts and the guests who appear on the show. If you have any questions about any of these products, please contact the Walt Disney Company.